here in Charlotte, North Carolina, KJBU. Tonight we're going to be doing a teaching on the desires of the Father. That is to say, doing His will. Many are called, few are chosen. Many people ask within themselves, within their flesh, can I be something else than what God has called me to be? So if the Father called you to be a lily, why do you want to be a dandelion? If He calls you to be a fruitful fig tree, why do you want to be briars and thorns? See, when His word go forth, we are to do what it commanded us to do. The flesh has no role in the matter at all if you are born of the Spirit. Just like the word came forth, it had to do His desires, His will. So should we. Just as Yahweh set the example for us to follow after Him. See, it's not about self. It's about the Father. So join with me on this teaching tonight, so we have some understanding on the desires of the Father. And let's get started on tonight. The will of the Father. So pick me up in Romans chapter 2, verse 17. And it reads, behold, remember. Now Paul wants us to remember something. Paul wants us to remember something. Something that should be in your mind, my mind, all of our minds. Thou art in thy beauty and perfection, you called a Jew, a follower of Christ, and resisted in the law. That means you remain in the law and makest thy boast of God. In verse 18, and knoweth his will. Remember, behold, thou art in your beauty and your perfection. You're called a follower of Christ, but are you? Are you? And remaineth in the law. So you got to remain in this. In the law. And makest thy boast of God, verse 18, and knoweth his will. Because his will is instructed out of the law. See, people want to be called followers of Christ. See, in the Christian church, they say, well, the law is done away with. We're not under the law, we're under grace. Jesus did it all. Paul is not writing to those type of individuals. He's writing to individuals that in your beauty and your perfection, you're called a follower of Christ because you know his will and approveth all things. It approveth the things that are more excellent, being instructed out of the law. We are called, we are named, we are appointed followers of Christ and knoweth his will, because his will is we're being instructed out of the law. So we know what we're being instructed out of the law. Why many are not willing to be that Lilly that he's called? Because Paul said you called a follower of Christ. Why are you not being that Lilly and choosing to be a dandelion? Choosing to be that weed, that tear, to continue to have those briars and those thorns. Let's go to 1 Timothy real quick. 1 Timothy 1 and 9. Knowing this, verse 18, but we know that the law is good if a man use it lawfully. Full thought. Knowing this. Now, Paul, knowing this, verse 9, knowing this particular thing, knowing this right here, that the law is not made for a righteous man. But for the lawless and disobedient, for the ungodly, for the sinners, for the unholy, profane, the murderers, the fathers, the murderers of mothers, for manslayers, whoremongers, for them that defile themselves with mankind, for man-stealers, for liars, for perjured persons, and if there be any other thing that is contrary to sound doctrine. The law is done away with, you under grace. That's contrary to sound doctrine. I want to change. I want to be something else. I don't want to be the lily, Lord. I want to be the dandelion. That's contrary to sound doctrine. Matthew 26. See, you are called, you're named, you're appointed to be a follower of Christ and remain in the law. So why did we continue to not want to do his desires? Matthew 26 and 39. And he went a little further and fell on his face, saying, "O Father, if it be possible," that's us. We're going to park it right there for a moment and have a conversation. If it be possible, can I change it to something else? Can this change? Can I change? Can I be something else? Can I be a donkey, not an ox? Can I be a leopard and not a lion? Can I be a vulture and not an eagle? So we know he doesn't change. And if we are a Jew, a follower of Christ, why is it that we want to change? We should have the same mind, the same spirit the same fervent desire to worship in spirit and in truth. So why are we wanting to change what he has called us to be? See, Christians feel that you can believe, you can be whatever you want and God would accept it. You can do whatever you want to do and God will accept it. If you are called a Jew, you got to suffer something. A change has to have taken place. Many got baptized on the Passover. For those that got baptized on the Passover, you put flesh on the back burner. You was like, I got to do the Father's will. I got to kill this flesh. I got to live in spirit and in truth. I got to worship him in spirit and in truth. He said, if it be possible. But watch this. Let this cup pass from me. Let this cup pass from me. Let this suffering pass from me. Many of us want to pass the cup. But we can't pass the cup. We got to drink what's in the cup. We got to take on what he has called us to do. We got to do what he has commanded us to do. Stop trying to pass your cup off like they do in the Christian church. They want to put it on a man. He set the example of what a Jew is, a follower of Christ is. Nevertheless, it's going to clarify, nevertheless, not as I will. It's not about you, but as thou will. Flesh should have no say-so in the situation, in the matter. If you live by the Spirit, also walk by the Spirit. Flesh has no say-so in the matter anymore. See, this verse clearly lets us know that spiritual dedication and receptiveness to what we are instructed to do, we are measured by our degrees of obedience as an obedient servant to do the Father's desire. Matthew chapter 16, pick me up at verse 24. I want to show you something right here. I want to show you something. And when Yahushua then said Yahushua unto his disciples, if providing any man, that's man or woman, any man will come after me. He set the example. You can't put this on no man. That Christian doctrine lie that Jesus did it all for you is a lie. And it is, I showed you that it's not sound doctrine. In 1 Timothy chapter 1, verse 9. If any man will come after him, let him deny himself, deny that flesh, and take up his cross and follow after me. For whosoever will lose his life, whosoever will save his life for shall lose it, and whosoever loses his life for my sake shall find it. So in Matthew 26, verse 39, we know that Yahushua, who was flesh, not God, didn't want to suffer what was ahead of him. Yet the spirit that was in him took control of the situation. As you say, he took control of the driving wheel. The spirit took control of the wheel. Matthew 22. And he did what was required. Not my will. We have many people out there that are selfish, so arrogant, so full of pride. I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to worship God the way I want to. Now I worship him in spirit and in truth, and he going to accept it. Keep thinking that. Keep thinking that. Matthew chapter 22, verse 14. For many are called, but few are chosen. Many are called to be Jews, but the ones that are chosen are going to get into the kingdom. The ones that are chosen will do what was required of them to do to get into the kingdom. Not want to do their own thing, not want to put flesh in control. Matthew 26, real quick, Matthew 26 is going to say this. Matthew 26 and 41. Matthew 26, verse 41. Watch and pray that ye enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed in work is willing, but the flesh is weak. If your flesh take control, you cannot be called a Jew. You're not a follower of Christ. If your flesh is controlled, you're not the chosen. If your flesh is the driver in the driver's seat, that flesh is going to be driving you down the highway straight to hell. The flesh is weak, yes. But those that are in the spirit are strong in the spirit. So you can't hang your hat up as they do. Well, we all sin. The flesh is weak, and God loves the sinner but hate the sin. That's a bunch of mumbo jumbo. You being hoodwinked, you being bamboozled by a stupid person, a Christian. John chapter 6, verse 63. Watch this. It is the spirit that quickeneth, that maketh alive. It's the spirit that is in you of Christ that should be making you alive. Full thought. The flesh profiteth nothing. You can't take it with you when you die. It's going right back to the ground where it came from. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life. Verse 64. But there are some of you that believe not. He knew who he was talking to. He knew who was in front of him and was like, there's some of you I don't believe you. You don't believe me anyway, because you're gonna stay on that Christian way that the flesh is weak. You're going to keep using the flesh as an excuse for you to not to worship in spirit and the truth. You're going to keep using the flesh as an excuse for you not to do his will. You're going to keep using that flesh as an excuse because you don't want to suffer nothing. Because you don't want to go through nothing. Because you want to continue to fornicate, be a liar, be a man stealer, a adulterer. You want to continue to do all those things. Those chosen are the ones willing to do his desires. Those that are called, those are in their beauty and perfection that are called a Jew, are willing to do his desires. To be a true follower of Christ. Your spirit should be willing to be obedient to his desires from the heart in the inner man. In the inner man. This is instructed out of the law. Paul said that. Being instructed out of the law. So you should know his will. And those things are what? Excellent. Let's go to it. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 6. Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 4 and 5. It says, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord." Not three, not Trinity, not Jesus is God, and then there's then God next, the Father next to him. No, hear, O Israel, the Lord, the Spirit of our God is one Lord. Verse 5. And thou shalt what? And thou shalt love the Spirit of thy God with all thy heart. With all thy heart. We're going to park it right there. Your heart, your inner being, your will, your thoughts were it only to be on him. And with all thy soul. The entirety of one's life being, life force, one's entire, one desires and appetites. With all thy soul, your life force and your desires and your appetites should be for him. And with all thy might, your strength, your abilities, your diligence, your use of all of what you have to serve God and to be a willing and obedient servant. Let me show you this in Deuteronomy chapter 10. Verse 12. 10 and 12. And now, Israel, what doeth the Spirit of thy God require thee, but to fear, to desire the Spirit of thy God, to walk in all his ways, not some, all his ways, to love him, to promise him, to serve the Spirit of thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, to keep the commandments of the Spirit of thy God and his statutes, which I command you this day for thy good? Do you fear him? Do you love him? Do you serve him? Have you changed your ways? Have you gone from being a donkey to being a lion? Have you gone from being a vulture to being an eagle? Have you gone from being a dandelion to being a lily? See, the question mark is there behind for thy good. He's asking the question, have you? Have you done this? The question is being asked. But many don't want to put in the work. Many don't want to put in the work. Many haven't ceased from sinning and continue not to do the Father's will. 1 Peter 4:1, it says, for as much then as Christ has suffered for us in the flesh, arm yourselves likewise that with the same mind. See, you got to have that same desire. You have to have the same mind to love the Lord with all your heart, mind, and soul. With your heart, soul, and might. It says, arm yourselves likewise with the same mind. Now he's going to clarify, for he that suffered in the flesh has ceased from sin. Have you? Verse 2. That he no longer should live the rest of his time in the flesh to do the lust of men. But the will of God. Many are not willing to put in the work. Many don't want to suffer. I still got to have my cigarette. It's a lady on my job. Now, the type of job that I have, our job it's in the policy to have religious conversations and all that kind of stuff. So I don't speak to people on my job about, because you can get in trouble on that. But this lady on my job, who I see every day, smoking, puffing on cancer sticks. Now I'm gonna call them cancer sticks because that's what they are. Cancer sticks. It's proven, it's documented, tests has been done. It's that cigarettes cause cancer. Period. Never smoked them, so I cannot give you any type of testimony or anything about it. Can't do it because I never smoked cigarettes. Never, ever, didn't do it. And in my younger days, when I was 18 and 19, now I know I'm almost 60, but you know how long ago that was? I mean, I might have to pull a calculator out because I didn't even puff on the chronic, as they say, or I don't know what they say now, but puff on the chronic or whatever. I didn't do none of that. I did when I was 18, 19. I did that, but since then, it's just something about it. It just didn't appeal to me. Because me, in my personal opinion, people that smoke cigarettes, they breath stink. I don't like having stinky breath. That's just me. And people that smoke on things, they breath stink. That's just me. That's how I look at it. When I'm around people, it turns your lips black and all that. But get back to the point is that, like I said, people don't want to put in the work. So it's a lady on my job that, for some reason or another, she told me she was a minister. I don't know why. I don't know what made her say that to me. I was punching out, getting off work, and when a conversation was being had with her and somebody else or something, and then she said, "Well, I'm a minister." Or something. I don't know how I can't remember how the conversation came up. But I'm saying to myself, so you're telling me you call yourself a minister. Now remember that the Bible, the verse says, it says, they profess they know God, but in words they deny him, being abominable to every good work reprobate. Elder did a teaching on that. She calls herself a minister. So she's saying she's a minister of God. But every day, I see with my own two eyes. This is not someone telling me something. I see this visually every day. She's standing outside the facility because you can't smoke inside the building. She's standing outside smoking a cigarette. But she says she's a minister. She says she's a follower of Christ. We get into it. They don't want to put in the work. All what I showed you, you think that applies to her? You think Deuteronomy 6, chapter 4 and 5, and Deuteronomy chapter 10, verses 12 and 13, you think, and 1 Peter 4 and 1, you think these things apply to her? And she's puffing. On cancer sticks. How are you going to tell someone anything about Christ and you yourself? Many of the deacons have done, it's like the walking dead. Where are your fruits? To me, your fruit is you love Cools or Salem's or Marlboros or something. People not willing to do the work. Watch this. Matthew chapter 20. This is where I'm going. Matthew chapter 20, verse 21. And she said, and he said unto her, what thou wilt. And she said unto him, grant that my two sons may sit, one on thy left hand, one on thy right hand, and the other on thy left hand in the kingdom. Now watch what Christ says to her. Watch what the response is. This is what we're going to get into. We're getting into this on tonight. But Jesus said, Yahweh said, watch this. Ye know not what you ask. Are you able? Key word. Are you able to drink of the cup that I shall drink of? I'm just pausing for the effect of it. Are many in here? Are you willing and able to drink of the cup that he drank of? He said, nevertheless, not my will, but thy will be done. Many are not. The flesh is going to push that cup away. They don't want to suffer. They don't want to go through nothing. And to be baptized with the baptism that I am baptized with. He went from the cup to the baptism. Are you able? Are you willing to condemn that flesh? Are you willing to kill it off? Are you able to do this for eternal life? You can't put this on no man. You cannot put this on a man. He's answering the question that something that you have to do. And they said unto him, we able. Oh yeah? Let's see. You're going to be tested. You're going to be tried. You got to suffer. You might be smoking on those cigarettes. You got to put those things away. Your flesh is saying, no, puff, 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 light, puff, puff, puff. The spirit's saying, nah, bro, I can't do this. We can't do this no more. Put those cigarettes down. Put the weed down. Put the marijuana. Put it down. Put the flesh down. Because if you want to be that lily, that beautiful flower, that's what you got to do. Many still want to have the BBL. Are you able to drink of the cup and be baptized with the baptism that he's baptized with? Are you able? But you still want the BBL. Take the J off. I still want to fornicate. Take the E off. I still want to lie and cheat to get a good tax return. Take the W off. Let me show you this in Deuteronomy. Let's go to Deuteronomy. Chapter 6, verse 5. Let's go back to it. It's something I want to show you. Let's go back to it. And it says, Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 5. I want to show you something. And it says, thou shalt. You see that? It says, thou shalt. He's not asking. He's telling. He is not asking. He's telling. As a king, he is commanding what those that are willing to do to get in his kingdom. See, when his word go forth, things happen. Things are done. Things are done when he says so. If it comes through a vessel, we can read it in his word. We should follow those instructions and obey. Exodus chapter 19, verse 5. Now, therefore, provided ye will obey my voice indeed in works and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. But what if I don't? Then you're not that peculiar. You're not that treasure. That's all. You're not that peculiar people. See, when his words are spoken, actions has to take place in us. Self, flesh should not have an option in the matter. Should not have no say-so in the matter. Let's go to Genesis to show you what I'm referring to. Genesis chapter 2, verse 16. And the Lord commanded the man, saying, every tree of the garden thou may freely eat, but the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Let's get to it. This is where I want to go. Thou shalt not. He told them his will. Thou shalt not learn of it. For in the day that thou eatest, learnest thereof, thou shalt surely die. Thou shalt not. And they did. This verse shows those that are not willing to be obedient to his voice. Death is the decree given as a result of the consequences of the party's actions of pure disobedience. And he can't change it. See, people think he's going to be an exception made for them. Nah, he's no respecter of persons. 2nd Esdras chapter 7, verse 11. Because for their sakes I made the world, and when Adam, mankind, male and female, transgressed my statutes, then was the decree that is now done. For in the day thou eatest thereof, thou shalt surely die. See, there's consequences to a party's actions when his will is not performed. But let me show you, we're going to walk through this, and let me show you how when his word go forth, his will is to be done. Let me show you this in Sirach chapter 18. We're going to walk through this together, step by step. It says right here, who governeth the world, with the palm of his hands, and all things obey his will. We're going to get to it. For he is the king of all, and by his power dividing holy things from among them that are profane. See, his word go forth, and it has power, authority, and sovereignty. As the King of kings and the Lord of lords that give decrees, laws, and commandments, statutes that cannot be changed nor altered. Because Isaiah 55 verse 11 says this. So shall my word be that goeth forth out my mouth. He's going to clarify. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish. It shall accomplish. It's going to do something. That which I please. Maybe we missing that. It shall accomplish. It's going to do something. That which I please. It's going to do his will. And it shall prosper in the things whereunto I send it. See, his word was sent to change us. But instead, as being taught in many churches today, we have an attitude that, well, I don't have to change. I don't have to suffer. I don't have to cease from sin. I don't have to obey him. I don't have to serve him. I don't have to love him with all my heart, mind, and my might. I don't have to. So let me ask you this. As you can see, his word shall go forth out his mouth and shall not return unto him void. Do you think the earth had any say-so in creation? Or did it do what it was supposed to do? Did the earth, the worlds, did they have any say-so in creation? So we're gonna take our time and go through this. 2nd Esdras, chapter 16. Verse 55. 2nd Esdras, chapter 16, verse 55. And it says this. Which spake but the word. Let the earth be made. Full thought, and it was made. Let the heaven be made. Full thought. and it was created. And in his word were the stars made, and he knoweth the number of them. But we're going to walk through this. John 1 and 1. In the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was with God in the beginning. All things were made by him. And without him was not anything that was made. Did creation have a say-so in the matter? Did his word come back void? Or did it accomplish? He said, moon, you go here. Stars, you go there. Sun, you do this. Moon, you do that. Jeremiah. Why did I highlight? Jeremiah. I gotta get a new highlighter. Jeremiah 31, verse 35. Did creation have a say-so in the matter? You think you have a say-so? You have a choice to serve him or not. You got the choice, but you know what the end of the result is going to be. I showed you over in Genesis chapter 2, verse 16 and 17. Jeremiah 31, verse 35. Thus said the Spirit of God, which giveth the sun for a light by day, and the orders of the moon and of the stars, and the light by night, which divideth the sea when the waves therefore roar. Full thought. The Spirit of hosts is his name, is his way. If those ordinances depart from before me, said the Spirit of God, then the seed of Israel shall cease from being a nation from before me. They won't. He's decreed it. He's ordered it. He's commanded it. It can't change. Let me tie that in case people think it might be a loose end. Let me tie that in. Psalms 89, verse 34. Because you think you got a say so in the matter. You don't have no say so. You got to do. You either you want to get into the kingdom, you're gonna do His will, or you just won't get in. You're gonna do His desires, and you won't make it in. My covenant I will not break, nor alter the thing that is going forth out of my lips. He decreed it. See, just as the earth when He created, do you know the earth is more than 70% water? Yet, the water does not consume, it does not take over, it does not go over the earth. Now, the earth is more than 70% water. The earth is made of more than 70% water. And yet, ask yourself, how come the earth is not consumed with water? Because it did His will. His word went forth out His mouth, and His will was done. Proverbs 8 and 23. He said, I was set up from the beginning, from the everlasting, before ever the earth was. His word. In the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. When there were no depths, I was brought forth. When there were no mountains, when there were no fountains abounding with water, before the mountains were settled, the hills I was brought forth. While as yet He had not made the earth, nor the fields, nor the highest part of the dust of the world. It says, when He prepared the heavens, When he prepared the heavens, I was there. His word. When he set a compass upon the face of the deep. When he established the clouds above. When he strengthened the fountains of the deep. When he gave the sea his decree. He said, stop right there. Stop right there. That's how far are you going to go? You ever been to a beach? You see where the water comes to. The water doesn't consume the earth. Why? Because he commanded it. He decreed it. When it was created. So I'm showing you an example that all these things did his will. Just as the spirit that should be in you, Christ, you should be doing the will of the Father. Exodus 6:3. And I appeared unto Abraham, Isaac, and to Jacob by the name of God Almighty, but by my way of Jehovah. I was not known to them. So if he created us to be a lily, why do we continue want to be something else? We supposed to be a special, peculiar people. We supposed to be that lily growing as you got people that got backyards, you got those beautiful flowers, and then you got them weeds and those weeds and those dandelions around it. You see how that flower just stands out? So when you going through your yard and you're taking care of your yard, you know that you got to get that weed killer. You got to spray that weed killer to kill those weeds that are around that beautiful flower, because it takes away from the beauty of what that flower is. Certain weeds can smother, can overtake that flower. Weeds grow like rampant. They all over the place. But we want to continue to be, we don't want to be the lily. We want to be the dandelion because we feel like that's a better life. That's a better way of living, because that's what the flesh wants. That's not the spirit. Let me take you over to Isaiah. Isaiah 1:19. Isaiah chapter 1 verse 19. If, providing, ye be willing and obedient. Ye shall eat the good of the land. But if ye refuse and rebel, like many will, ye shall be devoured with the sword. For the mouth of the Spirit of God has spoken. And remember, it's not going to come back void. And that sword is his word. He's going to separate it. He's going to separate himself from you. A willing and obedient servant, you shall eat the good of the land. A servant, you're going to deny yourself to be that Jew, that follower of Christ, to have that spirit of obedience in you. That same word that came forth out his mouth. That word that came forth out his mouth. That did what he say do when he created the heavens and the earth. Remember, the earth didn't have no say-so in it. You don't have no say-so in the matter. If you want to get into the kingdom, it's about what he wants you to do. You cannot choose to do what you want to do. That's what they do in Christian churches. That's what they do in a lot of places. The word of God is very plain and clear and precise, but people choose to, I want to do it. I'm like, it's Burger King. I want it my way. Give me the Whopper with cheese. Hold the pickles and the tomatoes. The house of Jehovah is not a drive-through. You can't have it your way. It's like somebody that you come to my house. You got to take your shoes off. I don't know what you've been stepping in. You could have earlier stepped in some dog poop. So you going to track that in my crib? On the floors in which my wife, now this is what my wife waxed. So many months, couple of months. She mops the floors real good and then she waxes them. And you think you're going to come in my house and do what you want to do? What the saying is, let the knob hit you where the good Lord split you. Let the knob hit you where he split. Yep. Take your shoes off, sir. Or ma'am. And if you got holes in your socks, that ain't my fault. Put some socks on that ain't got no holes in them. Walmart sell them by the pack. You can buy a pack of 12 for like $6. No excuses. So when you come to my house, you got to come the way I tell you. If you want to enter in my crib. Elder T's crib. Sister Rhonda T crib. You ain't going to just do what you want to do. You ain't going to do your will. You're going to do my will. It's the same thing. You want to get into the kingdom? You got to do his will. Let's run through this real quick. Let me show you something. Another example. This is another example of the spirit of obedience should be in all of us. That word. Wisdom of Solomon 18 and 15. It's going to say this. We're going to run through another example because I want everybody to get it. Thy almighty word leaped down from heaven like out of thy royal throne as a fierce man of war into the midst of a land of destruction. That's us. That's that land of destruction. So that word leap down, going to that land of destruction, and it's in that land. It's going, now what? If you be willing and obedient, then you eat the good of the land. That word came down to show us the way of salvation. Hebrews chapter 10. We're going to go through this. That word came down, right? From Jehovah, Christ. Hebrews chapter 10. Verses 5. We're going to take it down to 7. But we're going to start at verse 5. Wherefore he cometh into the world. Sacrifice and offerings thou wouldest not, but a body hast thou prepared for me. In burnt offerings and sacrifice, established covenants of sin, thou hast no pleasure therein. Then said I, lo, I come in the volume of the book written of me to do thy will, O God. Hebrews chapter 5, verse 7. Where in the days of his flesh, when he had offered up prayers and supplications, that's what I showed you back there in Matthew in the beginning. Matthew 26 and 39. Where in the days of his flesh, when he had offered up prayers and supplications with strong crying and tears unto him that was able to save from death. Remember, he's not saving flesh. And was heard in that he feared, though he were a son, a servant, yet, hold on 1 minute. Let's go to where I want to go. Psalms. That's it. Psalms 2. I want to show this. Psalms 2. Psalms 2 and 7. Though he were a son, that servant, I would declare the decree. The Spirit, God said unto me, thou art my servant, this day I have begotten thee. Begotten, willing servant brought forth. Though he were a servant, yet learned, he obedience by the things which he suffered. We're going to go back to it, because I want everybody to get this as we start to wind down. Matthew 26. Let's go back to it. Matthew 26 and 39. This is what the message is all about. This is the whole message. Though he were a servant, yet learned he through by the things which he suffered, that cup. Nevertheless, not as I will, but thy will, through obedience. That's what. And being made perfect, he became the author of eternal salvation unto all them that what? Obey him. Full thought. So what are you saying, T? Romans chapter 12, verse 1. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed. I got to transform. I got to change. I got to transform. By the renewing of your mind, you got to transform this thing. Let me make it simple. Let me explain to you simple. Don't they have a movie called The Transformers? Don't they have the movie called The Transformers? So, what in the Transformers, what do? They appear to be a car, but they can be a robot. So they transform. When it's time for war, when it's time for battle, what did they transform? They transform from a car, from a plane to a robot, from a truck to a robot. So what we have to do, we have to transform our minds. I'm not going to do what the flesh want me to do. I have to do the will of the Father. I got to transform. I'm not a dandelion. I have to transform myself. I have to be a lily. It says, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and the perfect will. You mean you found another verse with the will of God in it? I sure did. Transform. You got to change that the way you're thinking, the way you're behaving, the way your action, your thoughts. You got to transform that thing. You're not a dandelion. You want to be that lily. But be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. As we start to wind down, let's go to John 1. John 1. We got to transform. But be ye transformed. We got to put on that from a dandelion to a lily. We got to transform. We got to put on that garment of salvation. We got to put on righteousness. But be ye transformed. That's what we got to do. Watch this. We got to be, since I'm touching on it, we got to transform. We got to be ye transformed. Let's go to John 1 and 12. John 1 and 12. No, John, let's go to John 3. Yeah, we're going to go to John 3. John 3 and 6. It says, John 3 and 6. It says, that which is born, brought forth of flesh, is flesh. We got to be ye transformed. That which is born of flesh is flesh. But that which is born, brought forth of spirit, is spirit. We got to go from flesh to spirit. First Corinthians 15. As we starting to wind down, I'm starting to wind down. I appreciate your time so far. Hold on a little bit longer. I'm winding down. Now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of God. Neither corruption inherit incorruption. If you're not born, if you're not brought forth of spirit, how is it possible for you to be called a Jew? How, if you haven't presented your body a living sacrifice, you're not willing to suffer, you're not willing to kill off the flesh? John 1 and 2. No. John chapter 1, verses 12, not 2. 1 and 12. Pick me up at 12. But as many as received him, he gave power to become the servants of God, even to them that believe on his way, which were born not of blood. We know flesh and blood can't inherit the kingdom of God. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 50. Not which are born, brought forth not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of God. My brothers and sisters, this is T here in North Carolina. I thank you all for joining me on tonight, and have a blessed day.